The Discovery Protocol. The signal that changed everything. Lieutenant Brix's tentacles trembled as he adjusted the deep space monitoring equipment for the third time that cycle. The Zentari were known throughout the galaxy for their patience and methodical approach to everything, but even he was getting frustrated with the strange electromagnetic bursts coming from Sector 7, Alpha 9. The readings made no sense. "Admiral Corvin, sir," Brix called across the pristine command deck of Monitoring Station Omega 7, "you need to see this." Admiral Corvin floated over, his bioluminescent patches flickering in the pattern that indicated mild annoyance. After serving 47 cycles in the Galactic Monitoring Division, he thought he'd seen every possible form of interstellar communication. The Zentari had catalogued over 12,000 different species and their various methods of sending messages across space. This, however, was something entirely new. Chaos in the airwaves. "What exactly am I looking at, Lieutenant?" Corvin's voice carried the weight of someone who had spent decades maintaining order in a very orderly galaxy. Brix manipulated the holographic display with practiced precision. "Sir, these transmissions are coming from a small planet in the outer rim. Third planet from a Type G star. The inhabitants call it Earth, apparently." The display filled with intercepted signals, and what they showed made Corvin's bioluminescent patches flicker in confusion. Creatures that looked remarkably similar to several known species were engaging in behavior that defied all logical explanation. "Pause that," Corvin commanded, staring at a transmission showing humans participating in something called a game show. Are they voluntarily subjecting themselves to public humiliation for small prizes?" "It appears so, sir," Brix replied, his own confusion evident. "But that's not the strangest part. Observe this transmission labeled Reality Television. The impossible behavior patterns." What followed was a parade of human behavior that challenged everything the Zentari thought they knew about intelligent life. Creatures deliberately placing themselves in dangerous situations for entertainment. Individuals consuming substances that clearly impaired their judgment, then making important life decisions. Groups of humans engaging in ritualistic combat over sports events that had no bearing on their survival. "Lieutenant, run a full analysis," Corvin ordered, his patches now pulsing in rapid patterns of disbelief. "I want to know everything about these creatures. Their social structure, their technology level, their political systems." Brix worked frantically at his console. "Sir, the preliminary analysis is complete. According to our databases, these beings should have destroyed themselves within their first 1,000 cycles of civilization." "Explain." "Well, sir, they engage in something called politics, where they deliberately divide themselves into opposing groups, then spend enormous resources arguing instead of problem-solving. They've invented weapons capable of destroying their entire planet multiple times over. And yet..." Brix paused, his tentacles twitching with nervous energy. "And yet what, Lieutenant?" The paradox emerges. "And yet they're still here, sir. Not only are they still here, but they're thriving. Their population continues to grow, their technology advances at an unprecedented rate, and somehow, despite all their chaotic behavior, they maintain a relatively stable civilization." Corvin studied the data streams flowing across the display. Humans launching themselves out of aircraft for fun. Humans deliberately seeking out dangerous animals to photograph. Humans creating elaborate competitions based on activities that serve no practical purpose whatsoever. "Sir," Brix continued, "there's something else. Their entertainment transmissions suggest they actually enjoy uncertainty. They create fictional scenarios specifically designed to produce anxiety and fear, then consume them voluntarily." Admiral Corvin's patches went completely dark, a sign of deep contemplation among his species. In 47 cycles of monitoring the galaxy, he had never encountered anything like this. Every other civilization followed predictable patterns. They valued order, efficiency, and logical decision-making. They formed governments based on merit and expertise. They avoided unnecessary risks. Humans, apparently, had missed that particular memo. The report that changes everything. Lieutenant, prepare a priority transmission to Galactic Command, Corvin finally said, classification level, unprecedented anomaly. What should I tell them, sir? Corvin looked once more at the chaotic display of human behavior, then at the inexplicable fact that these creatures had not only survived but were actually prospering. Tell them we found something impossible, he said quietly. A species that thrives on chaos itself. As Brix began composing the transmission that would soon shake the foundations of galactic understanding, neither of them realized they had just discovered the species that would turn their perfectly ordered universe completely upside down. The age of human chaos was about to begin. The ancient warning decoded. The prophecy that terrified civilizations. Professor Nexus had spent the better part of 3 centuries studying ancient galactic texts, but nothing had prepared him for the emergency summons to the High Council chambers on Zentari Prime. His multiple eyes scanned the holographic displays showing the intercepted Earth transmissions while his research assistant, a young scholar named Till, frantically cross-referenced ancient databases. Professor, Captain Forge's gruff voice cut through the scholarly atmosphere, we need answers, and we need them now. These humans are exhibiting behavior patterns that match something in the old texts. Nexus adjusted his translation matrix, his aged fingers moving with practiced precision. Captain, you must understand, the Zorblaxian prophecies were considered myths by most scholars. Fairy tales used to frighten younglings about the dangers of disorder. Well, they're not looking so mythical anymore, Forge replied, gesturing toward the displays showing humans engaging in activities called extreme sports and flash mobs. The text that changed everything. Till's excitement was palpable as she manipulated the ancient text display. Professor, look at this passage from the Third Zorblaxian Codex. The translation matrix finally cracked the linguistic barriers. The holographic text shimmered as the translation algorithms worked their magic, revealing words that had been hidden for millennia. From the far reaches of the spiral arm shall come the chaos bringers. They shall know not the beauty of proper planning, nor shall they understand the sacred nature of predictable outcomes. They will embrace uncertainty as others embrace order, and in their madness, they shall reshape the very fabric of galactic civilization. Nexus felt his blood chill. Continue the translation, Till. They shall create art from disorder, find joy in the impossible, and somehow, impossibly, they shall prosper where others would perish. They are the species that laughs at logic, the beings who find entertainment in their own destruction, and yet they shall inherit the stars. The patterns become clear. Captain Forge studied the ancient text alongside the modern transmissions. Professor, are you telling me that a civilization that died out 40,000 years ago somehow predicted these humans? It would appear so, Captain, Nexus replied, his scholarly composure cracking slightly. But there's more. The Zorblaxians didn't just predict the humans' arrival. They predicted their impact on galactic civilization. The professor manipulated the display to show additional passages. Listen to this, the Chaos Bringers shall come not as conquerors, but as teachers of the impossible. They shall show the ordered races that survival does not require predictability, that strength can come from flexibility, and that sometimes the most illogical solution is the correct one. Till's research had uncovered even more disturbing predictions. Professor, there's an entire section about how they'll interact with other species. It says they'll approach first contact with something called humor, and attempt to establish diplomatic relations through memes. What in the name of the 7 moons is a meme? Forge demanded. The realization hits. Nexus pulled up the human transmission data, cross-referencing it with the ancient prophecies. Captain, according to this analysis, humans don't just create chaos, they weaponize it. They've turned unpredictability into a survival strategy. The displays showed humans dealing with natural disasters not through careful planning and evacuation, but through something called disaster tourism, where they actually traveled toward dangerous situations. They showed humans facing economic collapse by creating entirely new economic systems based on digital currencies that existed only in computer networks. They adapt, Nexus continued, not by becoming more ordered, but by becoming more flexible. When their environment changes, they don't resist, they surf the wave of change. Forge studied a transmission showing humans participating in something called a zombie apocalypse simulation. They're literally practicing for the end of the world, for fun. Exactly, Captain. And according to the prophecy, this is precisely what makes them dangerous to our ordered civilization. Not because they'll destroy us, but because they'll make us question everything we thought we knew about how intelligent life should behave. The warning becomes personal. Till discovered the most chilling passage of all. Professor, look at this final section. It's addressed directly to the galactic confederations of the future. The text materialized, to those who shall encounter the Chaos Bringers, know this, you cannot defeat them through superior technology, for they will find ways to use your own tools against you. You cannot outthink them, for they do not think as you do. You cannot predict their actions, for they themselves do not know what they will do next. Nexus felt the weight of cosmic inevitability settling on his shoulders. The prophecy suggests that contact with humans will fundamentally change every species they encounter. We won't just be meeting them, we'll be learning from them. Forge's military mind struggled with the implications. So you're saying we can't fight them? Captain, according to this text, we won't want to fight them. The prophecy suggests that despite their chaos, despite their apparent insanity, they possess something that every other species in the galaxy lacks. Which is? Professor Nexus looked at the streams of human data, their art, their music, their literature, their inexplicable ability to find hope in hopeless situations and laughter in the face of disaster. Joy, Captain. Pure, irrational, impossible joy. As the implications of the ancient prophecy sank in, both scholars and soldiers realized that the galaxy was about to learn what it meant to be truly alive. The invasion that never was. The perfect battle plan. General Voss spread the holographic star charts across the war room table, his scarred carapace gleaming under the harsh military lighting. After 200 cycles of successful campaigns across 17 sectors, he had earned his reputation as the Confederation's most brilliant strategic mind. Today, however, he faced his most unusual challenge yet. Gentlemen, he addressed his staff, we have been tasked with developing contingency plans for potential contact with the species designated as humans. Based on the intelligence gathered, I can assure you this will be unlike any campaign we've ever planned. Specialist Quinn, the Confederation's top tactical assessment officer, manipulated the display to show Earth's defensive capabilities. Sir, the preliminary analysis suggests this should be straightforward. Their technology is approximately 3,000 cycles behind our own. They have no unified planetary government, no energy shields, and their most advanced weapons are primitive chemical projectiles. Voss studied the data with the practiced eye of a career military officer. And yet, Quinn, something tells me this won't be as simple as it appears. The humans defeat themselves. Sir, Quinn continued, I've been analyzing their military conflicts, and the results are puzzling. Observe the simulation of their largest global conflict, designated World War II. The holographic display showed a planet divided into multiple factions, each fighting with desperate intensity. But as the simulation progressed, Voss noticed something extraordinary. They're not fighting a single unified enemy, he observed. They're fighting multiple wars simultaneously, often changing sides, and yet somehow the outcome seems to strengthen their overall species. Quinn nodded, his confusion evident. Exactly, sir. They appear to use conflict as a form of evolution. Each war teaches them something new about technology, strategy, and cooperation. They emerge from each conflict more unified and more capable than before. Show me their current military capabilities, Voss commanded. The impossible strategy. What appeared on the display defied every principle of military science Voss had ever learned. Humans had developed weapons capable of destroying their entire planet, then pointed them at each other, then somehow convinced each other not to use them through a strategy they called mutually assured destruction. Let me understand this, Voss said slowly. They've created weapons so powerful that using them would result in their own extinction, and they use this fact as a peacekeeping strategy? Correct, sir. They've weaponized their own potential destruction as a diplomatic tool. Specialist Quinn pulled up additional data. But that's not the strangest part, sir. Observe their current military engagements. The display showed humans fighting wars while simultaneously providing humanitarian aid to their enemies. They fought with rules of engagement that often put their own forces at disadvantage in order to protect civilian populations. They had created international laws governing how wars should be fought, then actually followed them most of the time. They're fighting ethical wars, Voss said in disbelief. They've managed to maintain their moral principles while engaging in armed conflict. The self-defeating enemy. Sir, I've identified what I believe to be their primary weakness, Quinn announced. They cannot seem to agree on anything. Their political systems are based on constant disagreement and debate. Voss perked up with interest. Elaborate. Well, sir, they have these things called elections, where they deliberately divide their population into opposing groups, then spend enormous resources arguing about who should make decisions. It's incredibly inefficient. Excellent. We can exploit this division. Actually, sir, that's where it gets complicated. Quinn's tactical confidence wavered. The strange thing is, this constant arguing seems to make them stronger. When faced with external threats, they somehow unite almost instantly. The display showed historical examples, humans putting aside their differences to face common challenges, species-wide cooperation during natural disasters, and their tendency to help strangers during crises. They're naturally competitive with each other, Quinn explained, but when threatened by outsiders, they become incredibly unified. It's as if conflict is their natural state, but they save their most effective cooperation for when they're facing extinction. The realization dawns. Voss studied the data for long moments, his military mind trying to process what he was seeing. Quinn, run a simulation. Assume we launch a standard invasion protocol against Earth. The holographic display showed the Confederation's fleet approaching Earth, followed by the humans' likely response. But instead of the expected chaos and surrender, the simulation showed something unprecedented. Sir, according to our models, an invasion would trigger what they call asymmetric warfare. They wouldn't try to meet us in conventional battle. Instead, they'd use tactics we've never encountered. The simulation showed humans turning their own infrastructure against invaders, using their entertainment industry to create propaganda that somehow made resistance seem fun, and employing their natural chaos as a weapon against ordered military thinking. They would make the occupation impossible not through superior force, but through sheer unpredictability, Voss realized. We couldn't govern them because we could never predict what they would do next. The strategic impossibility. Specialist Quinn had reached the same conclusion. Sir, I don't believe these humans can be conquered through conventional means. They're too chaotic to control, too adaptable to contain, and too unpredictable to defeat. Then what do you recommend, Specialist? Quinn paused, his tactical training warring with the evidence before him. Sir, I recommend we don't try to fight them at all. The simulations suggest that any aggressive action against humans would result in them becoming more unified, more creative, and more dangerous. General Voss looked at the star charts one more time, then at the streams of human data showing their art, their music, their literature, and their inexplicable ability to find hope in impossible situations. Recommendations noted, Specialist. Prepare a report for High Command. The species designated, humans, represents no military threat to the Confederation, not because they're weak, but because they've turned chaos itself into their greatest strength. As the war room emptied, Voss remained behind, staring at the small blue planet that had just taught him that sometimes the best strategy was not to fight at all. The diplomatic disaster. The first contact protocol. Ambassador Lynx had successfully negotiated peace treaties with 47 different species during her distinguished career in the diplomatic corps. Her methodical approach and deep understanding of galactic protocol had earned her the respect of civilizations across 3 sectors. Today, however, she faced her most challenging assignment yet, establishing formal diplomatic relations with the humans. Colonel Pike, she addressed her security chief as they reviewed the first contact procedures, I want you to understand that this mission is crucial to galactic stability. Based on the intelligence reports, these humans could either become valuable allies or dangerous wildcards. Colonel Pike, a veteran of countless diplomatic missions, studied the human behavioral data with growing concern. Ambassador, I've read the reports. These creatures seem to communicate through something called sarcasm and make important decisions based on gut feelings. How exactly do we negotiate with that? Lynx consulted her diplomatic handbook, a comprehensive guide covering proper protocol for every known species. We follow standard procedures, Colonel. Formal greetings, exchange of gifts, establishment of mutual respect through demonstration of our superior technology and wisdom. What neither of them realized was that humans had their own ideas about first contact. The greeting that went wrong. The Confederation's most advanced diplomatic vessel approached Earth's moon, broadcasting friendship signals in 17 different galactic languages. Ambassador Lynx had prepared her most formal diplomatic address, complete with proper ceremonial attire and carefully selected gifts representing the pinnacle of galactic civilization. The humans responded by sending a single transmission, "Welcome to Earth. We've been expecting you. Please hold while we connect you to our diplomatic representative." What followed was 30 minutes of something humans called hold music, a bizarre auditory experience that seemed designed to induce madness in anyone forced to listen to it. Ambassador, Colonel Pike whispered, Are they torturing us? Before Lynx could respond, the music stopped and a human voice came through the speakers, "Sorry about that. Our usual guy is out sick today, but I'm Dave from accounting, and I've seen a bunch of alien movies, so I think I can handle this." Lynx felt her diplomatic composure cracking. "Dave, from accounting? Yeah, don't worry, I've got this. So, you guys are here to either destroy us or make friends, right? If it's the destroying thing, could you maybe wait until after lunch? I haven't eaten yet." The cultural exchange catastrophe. Ambassador Lynx attempted to salvage the situation by presenting the humans with the traditional Confederation gift, a perfect crystal sculpture representing the mathematical harmony of the universe, crafted by the finest artists in the galaxy. Dave from accounting examined the priceless artifact for approximately 10 seconds before saying, "Neat. That'll look great next to my lava lamp." "Thanks." "Your lava lamp?" Lynx asked weakly. "Yeah, it's this thing with oil and water that bubbles around. Completely useless, but it looks cool. Sort of like your crystal thing, but with more bubbles." Colonel Pike later reported that this was the moment Ambassador Lynx's left eye began twitching uncontrollably. The humans then presented their return gift, a small rectangular device they called a smartphone. "It's got everything on it," Dave explained enthusiastically. "Games, videos, social media, maps, music, pictures of cats, basically all of human knowledge and entertainment in one pocket-sized package." Lynx examined the device with growing amazement. The technological implications were staggering. This single device contains access to your entire planetary database? Well, yeah, plus you can order pizza with it. The negotiation nightmare. Ambassador Lynx attempted to begin formal negotiations using standard galactic protocols. She presented the Confederation's carefully prepared treaty proposal, a comprehensive document covering trade agreements, territorial rights, and mutual defense pacts. Dave from accounting skimmed through the holographic display for about 30 seconds before saying, "This is way too long. Can you give me the TLDR version?" "The TLDR version? Too long, didn't read. Just give me the highlights." Lynx struggled to condense 47 pages of carefully crafted diplomatic language into what humans apparently called bullet points, but every time she attempted to explain a crucial treaty provision, Dave would interrupt with questions like, "But what about the cats?" and "Do you guys have Netflix?" "Mr. Dave," Lynx finally said, "perhaps we could discuss the more serious aspects of interstellar relations?" "Oh, absolutely. But first, do you want to see some memes?" The meme disaster. What followed was Ambassador Lynx's introduction to human meme culture, a form of communication that seemed to involve sharing pictures with text that was supposed to be funny but made no logical sense whatsoever. Dave showed her images of cats making grammatically incorrect statements, pictures of humans making strange faces with captions about Monday mornings, and something called Rick-rolling that apparently involved tricking people into watching a music video from their ancient history. "This is how humans communicate complex ideas?" Lynx asked in bewilderment. "Well, it's how we communicate fun ideas. For complex stuff, we usually just wing it and hope for the best." Colonel Pike noted that this was when Ambassador Lynx's right eye joined the left eye in its twitching. The diplomatic breakthrough. Just when Lynx thought the situation couldn't get any worse, something remarkable happened. Dave from accounting, despite his complete lack of diplomatic training, began to demonstrate something that no Confederation species had ever seen: genuine curiosity about other cultures. "So what's your planet like?" he asked. "What do you guys do for fun? Do you have families? What's your favorite food?" For the first time in her career, Ambassador Lynx found herself engaged in a conversation that wasn't about territorial boundaries or trade agreements, but about the simple experience of being alive in the universe. We don't really have fun in the way you understand it," she admitted. "Our society is based on efficiency and order." "That sounds kind of boring. Don't you ever just, I don't know, do something crazy?" As the conversation continued, Lynx began to realize that the humans' chaotic approach to communication wasn't a flaw, it was a feature. They were genuinely interested in connecting with other beings, not just negotiating with them. "Dave," she said finally, "I think we have much to learn from each other." "Awesome. Want to grab some coffee and talk about it? I know this great place that makes amazing donuts." Ambassador Lynx found herself agreeing to conduct interstellar diplomacy in something called a coffee shop, and somehow, it felt like the most natural thing in the galaxy.